Hello everyone, my name is Lana. Welcome to Unite English. Have you heard about conditionals? Is that something you use after shampooing your hair? Of course, it's a joke. So, what are conditionals in English grammar? A conditional is a sentence with a condition and a result. Sometimes we call them if clauses. And we can differentiate them because of the using different English verb tenses. I want to give you a short intro to 4 types of conditional sentences, and we will dive into more details after that. We use conditional sentences to explain what usually happens. If it rains, I stay at home. What could happen, so there is a possibility and likely outcome in the future. If it rains, I will stay at home. Then there is hypothetical situation, what we wish would happen. If it rained, I would stay at home. And what might have happened, that's the case when you're imagining a different result that happened in the past. If it had rained, I would have stayed at home. Do you see the difference? Let's go through each type of conditional sentences in depth. First, we are going to look at zero conditionals. These are statements that are true in general. The zero conditional is used to talk about things that are certain or always true. Let's take a look at this example. If you don't clean, it gets dirty. From this example, you can see that it is a real condition that has an inevitable result. So the message here is that if something happens, there will always be a guaranteed consequence. If you stand out in the rain, you'll get wet. If you eat too much, you'll put on weight. Think about how scientific facts are written. The same is true for general truths. Here we are talking about a general truth rather than a specific instance of something. There are a couple of things to take note of in the above sentences in which the zero conditional is used. First, when using the zero conditional, the correct tense to use in both clauses is the simple present tense. A common mistake is to use the simple future tense. If you will push the button, the car will start. No, this is wrong. The right way is, if you push the button, the car starts. Secondly, notice that the words if and when can be used interchangeably in these zero conditional sentences. This is because the outcome will always be the same. It doesn't matter if or when it happens. When people smoke cigarettes, their health suffers. Or, if people smoke cigarettes, their health suffers. The result is the same. Next is the first conditional. We use the first conditional to talk about things in the future that is likely to happen or have a real possibility of happening. If I'm back home early, I will cook dinner. So there is a real possibility of me coming back home early enough to cook dinner. Note that we use the simple present tenses in the if clause and simple future tense in the main clause. That is the clause that expresses the likely outcome. Also, we can use the following connectors instead of if. Those are when, as soon as, in case, unless, as long as, after. You should notice that each of these connectors change the meaning of the sentence slightly. I will let you know as soon as I get my results. Do you see the intricacy of the meaning is changed in comparison with if? Another one. When people smoke, their health will get worse. Also, we can use modal verbs instead, will or won't. Those are may, might, shall, should, could, or in an imperative in the main clause. These can change the meaning of the likelihood of the result. If I have time, I might stop by your place. And an example of an imperative sentence, if you have time, go to the library. So from the above examples, we can see that the zero and their first conditional sentences describe a real or possible situation. And the second and the third are imaginary or hypothetical situations. Let me explain the second conditional. The second conditional refers to the present or the future and is used to talk about anything unlikely to happen or something imagined instead of the present situation. Imagine meeting Madonna or finding $1 million on the floor. These things might not have happened to you, but you sure can dream. Another example. They would buy a bigger house if they had the money. If clause is in the past simple tense and the main clause contains a modal verb would and a base form of the verb. Also, when there is the verb to be in the if clause, we can change it from was to were. This is because we are talking about hypothetical situations. So we are changing the mood of the verb from indicative to the subjunctive. Both options are correct though, but were is often preferred. Let's see an example. If I were an animal, I would be a bird. Last but not least, we have the third conditional. We use the structure to talk about an imagined past. We talk about condition in the past that did not happen. That is why there is no possibility of this condition. The third conditional is also like a dream, but with no possibility of the dream coming true. But it is important to note that these sentences express a condition that was likely enough but did not actually happen in the past. Let's imagine that last week you bought a lottery ticket, but you did not win. So we can use the third conditional structure to express this kind of situation. If I had won the lottery, I would have bought a car. Notice that we are thinking about an impossible past condition. You did not win the lottery, so the condition was not true. And that particular condition can never be true because it is finished. You can compare it with the first conditional where there is a possibility of winning because you don't know yet if your ticket is lucky, and it refers to their future. If I win the lottery, I will buy a car. Let's take a look at the structure. We use the past perfect tense to talk about the impossible past condition, and we use a would have plus past participle to talk about the impossible past result. The important thing about the third conditional is that both the condition and result are impossible now. And yet another example. If you had told me you need a ride, I would have left earlier. From this sentence, we can understand that someone didn't communicate on time for the corresponding action to happen. So at this point, it is impossible to implement. Common things for all conditionals. You can put if either at the beginning of the sentence or in the middle of the sentence. It doesn't usually matter which order you put them in. Now that we looked at all four conditional sentences, let's take a look at very similar sentences, but different types of conditional sentences. Now we know how the meaning is changed with different tenses. I will have them in random order for you to try to remember what kind of conditional sentence is in front of us. If it rained, I would stay at home. What kind of conditional is that? You can pause the video and try to figure it out. So this is the second type, and we talk about present or future, which is unlikely to happen. So maybe we are in the desert and it is very unlikely to rain in this region. So we can use this type of the structure to express almost sarcasm about the possibility of staying at home because of rain. Another one. If it rains, I stay at home. What about this one? Pause the video. So this one is zero conditional when we talk about facts. So it is a fact that this person usually stays at home when it is raining. Okay, next one. If it had rained, I would have stayed at home. Let's think about this one. Again, pause the video and try to figure out the meaning and situation of this sentence. This one is third conditional. Why? Because we have the past perfect for condition and would have plus past participle for the past result. From that, we know that this is something impossible to happen. And the last example. If it rains, I will stay at home. Again, pause. This one is easy to guess because we went through all of the other ones, and it is the first conditional. It is the future possible situation. I'm predicting my action as a result of a possible condition. And let's take a look at all of them. So what can you notice by looking at these sentences? What are the indicators that these are conditional sentences? So all of them have the conjunction word if, which connects two clauses. There is a comma between these clauses. These two clauses represent condition and result. Anything else? And we can see that the verbs are in a different time tenses, which creates difference in the meaning. Can you recognize them now and understand their meaning? Let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions or difficulties. So repeating it one more time. Zero conditional. We express something known as a fact, and we have present simple in both parts, the condition and the result. First conditional, possibility in present or future, where the condition is in present simple and the result is in future simple. Second conditional, the impossible situation in the future, past simple in the conditional part and would in the result part. And third conditional, an impossible situation in the past, where we have past perfect for the conditional part and would have plus past participle for the result. And that's all for today. If you found this video useful, please subscribe and push the like button. And thank you for watching. Stay tuned. Bye.